Hello everybody. This is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. Today I'm going to put together a centerpiece for a small party. It's just a Christmas party that they're going to host, and they needed 20 centerpieces at $35 each. So instead of putting it in a glass bowl, like I usually do, a $35 centerpiece is usually not very large. And if I put it in a bowl, it's much smaller than if I put it in foam. So today I'm going to use this little bowl. It was actually purple. I took some silver spray paint and I spray painted the bowl, and it was still a little wet. I made a nice little ring on my table, but that's completely okay. We use this workspace all the time. So I'm going to take this bowl and I am going to cut a small piece of fresh floral foam, tuck it right down into this bowl. The wonderful part about the bowl is it is going to hold water. It's got plenty of room for water. So this is probably an eighth of a piece of fresh floral foam. It might even be smaller than that. I'm going to take my waterproof tape and I'm going to tape this foam into my container. So I taped it all the way across, and then I'm going to tape it again. Now the reason I'm taping it in is because it's very important that your arrangement does not fall apart when you go to deliver it. So I have taped my foam into my container. We will fill the reservoir with fresh water. The foam has been soaked. Do not ever design in fresh floral foam that has not been soaked in water. It causes the flowers to clog, so it's always important that you soak it first. Okay, so it's taped in. This is cedar. Cedar is greenery. It's an evergreen here in Mississippi. I went out and cut it at my mama and daddy's house. They live out in the country, so they have a lot of this growing. And so I went out and cut some cedar and I cut some long needle pine. So I'm going to take this cedar, I'm just cutting it into small little pieces, and I am just going to, this one piece is a little long, I am just going to fill in this little container with fresh cedar. So I'm just taking this one little stem and cutting it into small little pieces. Now the reason I decided to harvest my own greenery is because it's less expensive than greenery I purchased with my wholesaler. I wanted to be able to give my customer more for their money. And it's such pretty natural things. Pick up pine cones. If you can find some pine cones, pick those up off the ground. Add pine cones to your arrangement this time of year. It just really makes a really pretty arrangement. Okay, so I don't know that I like this really chunky piece, so I'm going to take it and pop it in half. Just a little bigger than I want. Okay, so there's my greenery in my container. Now you can see how much larger this arrangement is versus one of those small little bubble bowls. It just looks bigger. And I'm gonna tell you that really makes a difference when it looks larger. The customer feels like they got more for their money, or they got their money's worth when it's a larger arrangement. I'm gonna start out by adding these Magnum Mums. So a Magnum Mum is just a really large, it's bigger than my hand, a really large mum. They come in different colors, but this white is always the perfect choice. I really like to keep these in my cooler because they work perfect for any occasion. I can always use them with floral paint, and I can make them any color I really need them. So I'm going to tuck one on one side. I'm going to turn my container, and I am going to tuck the second mum on the other side. Just like that. Okay? Next, I'm going to take some red roses. And this one I had already cut, and I cut it too short for the arrangement I was going to use. So I'm going to use it in this one. I cut it short. And I'm going to tuck this pretty heart rose right down into that fresh floral foam. I'm going to take my second rose, cut it at an angle, and tuck it down into my foam so you can see my heart roses. Next, I have these really pretty red Hypericum berries. Hypericum berries are also called coffee berries, come in lots of colors. Lots of pretty colors, but this red is magnificent. Now, had I had some pretty red holly, I would have probably cut holly. I really like holly. I think it's very pretty. The problem here is the holly that I have at my house does not have the berries on it. The birds ate all my berries, so that was no fun. They didn't leave me any pretty berries. So these Hypericum berries do a wonderful job with giving me that pretty red. Okay, now with this centerpiece, so there's a pretty centerpiece there. With this centerpiece, you could certainly add a couple of loops of ribbon if you wanted to. You can add pine cones. Pine cones would look lovely. But I want to show you a trick to add some silver or a little bit of bling. So my little tiny container underneath is silver. It's kind of hard to see. You're not really going to see it a lot, but I thought, how pretty would it be to add a little silver into the arrangement? Now it's pretty as is. It does not need this, but this is kind of a fun way to add a little bling. This is called Israeli Ruscus. Israeli Ruscus is a very hardy greenery, very inexpensive, but you could do this with foliage that you cut out of the yard. It needs to be more hardy foliage. It doesn't need to be a fragile foliage, but you could do it with boxwood, you could do it with magnolia, you can do it with, we've painted Nandina. We happen to order this Israeli Ruscus in. It's very inexpensive for us to order, and I just like it. I'm going to take this Israeli Ruscus. Now this is Rust-Oleum metallic paint. It is a silver paint. I do not suggest using this on fresh flowers, only on foliage or containers, obviously. So don't spray your flowers with Rust-Oleum paint. Be sure to use fresh floral paint when you're painting your flowers. But I'm going to take and pop this greenery with just a touch of silver paint. So what it's doing is it's going to give me just a little bit of bling for my arrangement. So I'm going to take another couple of pieces, and all I'm doing is I'm just popping that plunger. Don't hold the plunger and let it spray consistently. Be sure to pop it a little bit. The reason I say that is because then the paint won't run, okay? And I'm gonna take one more piece, so we're gonna do 3 pieces. It would be a very good idea to do this outside. We're in a pretty well ventilated area, so we're good here. Be sure to paint outside when you're painting. But just take that paint and just pop it. Okay, so there is my silver ruscus. Like I said, you can do that with any of your foliage. It does not have to be ruscus. And I am just going to tuck this little pop of silver into my arrangement. So it just gives it just a little hint of Christmas. All right, and there you have a simple little centerpiece that's large enough to go on an 8 or 10 seater table, and it makes a pretty statement. Guys, thank you so much for being here with me this afternoon. I hope you have a wonderful day. If you have any questions about how we design here or where we get our product, please don't hesitate to drop that in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel, and we will see you all real soon. Thanks, guys.